Do you think President Biden's economic policies succeeded? President Biden's economic policies focus on creating jobs, supporting small businesses, and investing in infrastructure, education, and healthcare. His administration passed a $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief package, which included direct payments to individuals, extended unemployment benefits, and funding for vaccine distribution. In addition, President Biden proposed a $2 trillion infrastructure plan that aims to modernize the country's transportation, water, and energy systems, and create jobs in the process. The plan also includes investments in broadband, affordable housing, and manufacturing. It's still early to fully evaluate the success of President Biden's economic policies, but there are some positive signs. The unemployment rate has decreased, and the economy has added jobs. The stock market has also performed well under his presidency. However, there are also concerns about rising inflation and the impact of the pandemic on the economy. Overall, President Biden's economic policies are focused on promoting economic growth, job creation, and supporting middle-class families. Only time will tell how effective they will be in achieving these goals. Do you think Biden's economic policies are successful compared to Trump? I do not have personal opinions or biases. However, I can provide some comparisons between President Biden's economic policies and those of former President Trump. President Biden's economic policies have focused on government intervention to support economic recovery and job creation. His administration has passed a $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief package, proposed a $2 trillion infrastructure plan, and raised taxes on corporations and high-income individuals to fund these initiatives. On the other hand, former President Trump's economic policies were focused on deregulation, tax cuts, and trade protectionism. His administration passed a $1.5 trillion tax cut package in 2017, which primarily benefited corporations and high-income individuals, and pursued trade policies that aimed to reduce the trade deficit. It's difficult to make direct comparisons between the two administrations' economic policies, as they had different approaches and goals. However, some of the key differences in their economic policies include the role of government intervention, tax policies, and trade policies. Ultimately, the effectiveness of economic policies is often difficult to determine in the short term, as their impact can take time to be fully realized. It will likely take some time to determine how successful President Biden's economic policies will be compared to those of former President Trump. The Biden administration is actively implementing fiscal policies focusing on economic recovery, eco-friendly, and infrastructure expansion. How about that? The Biden administration has been actively implementing a range of fiscal policies aimed at promoting economic recovery, addressing climate change, and expanding infrastructure. President Biden's policy agenda has prioritized investments in clean energy, sustainable infrastructure, and job creation, with a focus on addressing the challenges facing working families and communities across the country. One of the key initiatives of the Biden administration is the American Jobs Plan, a $2 trillion infrastructure proposal that seeks to modernize the nation's transportation, water, and energy systems, while also creating millions of good-paying jobs in the process. The plan includes investments in electric vehicle charging stations, broadband internet access, affordable housing, and public transportation, among other things. In addition to the American Jobs Plan, the Biden administration has also proposed the American Families Plan, which seeks to invest in education, childcare, and healthcare. The plan includes measures to make college more affordable, expand access to pre-K education, and provide paid family and medical leave to workers. To fund these ambitious policy proposals, the Biden administration has proposed raising taxes on corporations and high-income individuals, while also cracking down on tax evasion and offshore tax havens. The administration has also proposed investing in IRS enforcement to ensure that wealthy individuals and corporations pay their fair share of taxes. Overall, the Biden administration's fiscal policies reflect a commitment to addressing the pressing challenges facing the country, from economic inequality and climate change to aging infrastructure and workforce development. While the policies have faced opposition from some quarters, the administration remains steadfast in its commitment to creating a more equitable, sustainable, and prosperous future for all Americans. President Biden's free trade. President Biden's trade policies have focused on striking a balance between promoting economic growth and protecting American workers and industries. His administration has emphasized the importance of fair trade that benefits American workers and businesses, while also recognizing the role of international trade in driving economic growth and job creation. One of the first actions President Biden took on trade was to review the trade policies of the previous administration and evaluate their impact on American workers and businesses. He also announced a worker-centered trade policy that would prioritize the interests of American workers, with a particular emphasis on protecting jobs in industries like manufacturing. At the same time, President Biden has also sought to strengthen relationships with America's allies and engage in multilateral trade agreements. In June 2021, the U.S. and the European Union, EU, reached an agreement to resolve a long-standing dispute over subsidies to airplane manufacturers Boeing and Airbus. The agreement removed tariffs on a range of goods and signaled a renewed commitment to strengthening trade ties between the two economic powers. President Biden has also expressed support for the World Trade Organization, WTO, and the multilateral trading system, which he sees as a critical tool for promoting fair and open trade. He has called for reforms to the WTO to ensure that it is better equipped to address the challenges of the 21st century, including climate change and digital trade. Overall, President Biden's trade policies reflect a commitment to promoting fair and open trade that benefits American workers and businesses, while also recognizing the importance of international trade in driving economic growth and job creation. What is the biggest difference between President Biden and President Trump in terms of economic policy? There are significant differences between President Biden's economic policies and those of former President Trump. Here are some of the key differences. 1. Role of government intervention. President Biden's economic policies involve greater government intervention compared to former President Trump. The Biden administration has pursued a range of policies to support economic recovery and job creation, including the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, which provided stimulus checks to individuals and families, extended unemployment benefits, and provided funding for vaccine distribution and small business relief. Additionally, the Biden administration has proposed a $2 trillion infrastructure plan and other measures aimed at addressing climate change and expanding access to health care and education. In contrast, former President Trump's economic policies were characterized by deregulation and tax cuts. His administration pursued a $1.5 trillion tax cut package in 2017, which primarily benefited corporations and high-income individuals. The Trump administration also rolled back many environmental regulations and sought to reduce the role of government in various industries. 2. Tax policies. President Biden has proposed raising taxes on corporations and high-income individuals to fund his policy proposals. He has called for a corporate tax rate increase from 21% to 28%, and a minimum global tax rate for multinational corporations. Additionally, he has proposed raising the top individual income tax rate and closing various tax loopholes. In contrast, former President Trump's tax policies were focused on cutting taxes for corporations and high-income individuals. His administration pursued a tax cut package in 2017 that significantly reduced the corporate tax rate and lowered taxes for high-income individuals. 3. Trade policies. President Biden has sought to promote fair and open trade that benefits American workers and businesses. He has emphasized the importance of strengthening relationships with America's allies and engaging in multilateral trade agreements. The Biden administration has also expressed support for the World Trade Organization, and the multilateral trading system. In contrast, former President Trump pursued a trade policy focused on reducing the trade deficit and protecting American industries. He imposed tariffs on a range of goods from China and other countries, and sought to renegotiate trade deals like NAFTA. Overall, the biggest difference between President Biden and former President Trump in terms of economic policy is the role of government intervention. While President Biden's policies involve greater government intervention to support economic recovery and address pressing challenges like climate change and healthcare, former President Trump pursued policies focused on deregulation and tax cuts. As an investor investing in the U.S. stock market, who would benefit from being president in the next presidential election, Trump or Biden? The policies of the two major parties may impact the stock market and different types of investors. Historically, the stock market has performed better under Democratic presidents than Republican presidents. According to an analysis by LPL Financial, since 1950, the S&P 500 index has had an average annual return of 13.4% under Democratic presidents, compared to 9.5% under Republican presidents. However, this does not necessarily mean that Democratic presidents are better for all types of investors. Under President Biden, his administration's policies focused on economic recovery, infrastructure spending, and eco-friendly initiatives could potentially benefit certain sectors of the stock market, such as renewable energy, technology, healthcare, and construction. For example, the proposed infrastructure spending plan could benefit construction and materials companies, while the push for clean energy could benefit renewable energy and technology companies. On the other hand, former President Trump's policies focused on deregulation, tax cuts, and protectionist trade policies. His administration's tax cuts benefited corporations and high-income individuals, which could potentially benefit certain sectors of the stock market, such as energy, financials, and materials. However, his administration's trade policies, including the imposition of tariffs, caused market volatility and could potentially harm companies that rely heavily on global trade. Ultimately, it's important to keep in mind that the stock market is complex and can be influenced by many factors beyond who is president. As an investor, it's important to consider a variety of factors, such as economic trends, company performance, and market conditions, when making investment decisions.